behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids, so we could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.
Welcome to our 3-year shuttle bus tour. We purchased, converted, and have been living in our shuttle bus for about 3 years now. So we're gonna give you a little walk around tour, show you what it looks like after 3 whole years of traveling around the country in this bus, and also tell you a little bit about the things that we decided to change. This bus was our very first full build project, so it truly is our project bus. We've been changing a bunch of things as we go, and we're going to tell you about all of those things today.
I'm Drew.
I'm Savannah.
And this is our 3-year shuttle bus update tour.
All right, let's show you around. First things first, the vehicle itself. Our bus is a 2007 Ford shuttle bus. The body was made by Federal, and the chassis is an e450. We really loved building on the e450 chassis because it has a 14.5 GVWR, and our bus, fully loaded, full tanks, is 12,800 pounds. We also love the e450 because it has a lot of ground clearance, and that's great for us because we do a lot of camping in the backcountry and down dirt roads. The engine in here is the 6.8 liter Triton V10 gas engine, and we get about 10 miles to the gallon.
On the back of the bus, we have our freshwater fill inlet. This is a gravity fill, and it goes to our 75-gallon freshwater tank. Around the side of the bus, we since upgraded to a shore power inlet. We don't need it often, but in case you do, it is there if there's no solar energy. Of course, your gas fill. And then we have our propane down here. Put this nice access door on there. This is a big 20-gallon tank, which is pretty large for a vehicle of this size. We only have to fill it 2-3 times a year, depending on how much we're running the heater, which is really nice. You don't have to go to town every month to fill it up. And mounted underneath, next to the propane tank, we have a 7-gallon gray water tank that is just for the shower, as the sink has its own separate system. And of course, on the roof, we have our custom-built Unistrut roof rack, which holds our solar array. There is 7 200-watt solar panels, so there's always 1,000 showing, but when we're parked, we can pull an additional 400 watts slide out, and that gets us to a total of 1,400 watts. This is the second installment of the solar slide. Unfortunately, the original was damaged when it was left out and we drove down the road. You may have seen that in our 2-year update. Since then, we have upgraded the slides to be much more heavy duty, and you actually can drive down the road with them, though I still wouldn't recommend it.
And that's everything on the outside of the bus. Now let's head inside and see the interior. Across from the entryway is our bathroom. We did one wall fully tiled and the other 2 walls are FRP. In the 3 years that we've been living in this bus, we've had no issues whatsoever with the tile. We used a flex bond mortar and a flexible grout as well, and we think that that's helped a lot with the vibration. With the 2 FRP walls, we have had some bubbles form behind the FRP. If you've watched the 2 build series that we did after we did this bus, you know that we started using a different type of adhesive and also spreading it more evenly across the FRP board, and that's what will help prevent those bubbles. We are still using our Thetford 565E cassette toilet. Underneath the Thetford is our teak mat and custom shower pan. We actually make and sell these shower pans to other people doing builds, and the benefit here is that it is stainless steel and it sets into the floor, so it saves you quite a bit of headroom, which is very precious in a build like this. The only type of maintenance that we've really had to do on this shower is oiling the teak mat to make sure that the wood stays in good condition. And about 6 months ago, we went through and re-caulked all the seams of the shower. But other than that, we've had no issues.
To my right, we have our Dickinson P12000 Marine Direct Vent Propane Heater. We originally had the P9000 in here. It heated the space well, but we felt we needed a bit more BTU to really warm it up on those very cold days, so we upgraded to the P12000. Overall, we have really loved this heater. You just can't beat the ambiance of that open-faced fireplace look. It kind of just warms the space with the flickering flame. It just makes it feel cozy in here. We have had to do maintenance from time to time, cleaning the thermocoupler inside, which allows the flame to stay on. If that gets built up with soot over time, the heater does not like to stay lit, but you clean it up with a little sandpaper and it's good as new. Directly above our heater, we have 2 large storage compartments in these overhead cabinets. Beneath the counter, we have 2 large storage drawers, and one of the bigger changes we have made, this giant drawer originally held our freezer. We found over time it wasn't quite enough ventilation for the unit to run efficiently, so we since pulled it out of this drawer, moved it between the 2 seats in the cab, and it runs a lot better up there. It turned out to be a really good decision. The freezer runs a lot more efficiently in that open space, and it allowed us to convert this very large drawer into a sizable dry pantry storage.
Along through the bus, we come to our couch, but it's just a couch at first glance. This is actually a modular convertible space that can be so many things in one. This space is not only a couch, but the ends can slide out to make a U-shaped couch, an L-shaped couch, a 2-person booth, a 4-person booth, or a twin-sized guest bed. Building something like this into your van or bus just makes the most of a small space. The more things that you can use a single piece of furniture for, the better. This couch booth bed design was actually so popular when we first converted our bus that we created a step-by-step downloadable build plan for the design. And then when we did our unicell build last year, we amended the design to include a hinged top. Drew installs his power system in each booth end, and it's really helpful to be able to tilt up the lid and access all the components of the power system. So if you would like to build this into your own vehicle, we have the downloadable plans on our website, both this version and the updated hinged top build plan. We absolutely love this design and we have had no issues with it whatsoever. We frequently convert it for game night, have friends over for dinner. I had a friend come visit and travel with us. She stayed on the twin-sized bed. It's just so nice to have all these different options. When we first did this conversion 3 years ago, these cushions were actually a mattress topper, and we realized very quickly that not all cushions are made the same. We updated from a mattress topper to 4-inch upholstery foam, and it made a world of difference. We cannot recommend upholstery foam enough. The mattress topper just broke down very quickly and was really uncomfortable to sit on. We also paid a little bit extra for upholstery fabric, and that's made a huge difference. Nothing but upholstery fabric would have held up to having 2 dogs in this small space. It's easy to clean and wash. We also put zippers on each cushion so that you can remove the cover and wash it. That is very important when you have pets.
Underneath this booth end, we have a lot of the components of our power system. We have our custom built lithium pack. We have our BMS as well as our charge controllers. Some of the changes and upgrades we've made since the original installment of this power system: I moved the board that most of the components are mounted to from the back wall to above the batteries, so they're facing up, easier to see and easier to access if you need to work on them. As well, I weeded out a few of the battery cells that were not rated to the capacity they were advertised to. I did some capacity testing on the cells and realized a few of them were not rated as high as the other ones. So while replacing them, I actually upgraded from 600 amp hours to 800 amp hours, and this is a 12-volt pack. So it is a very sizable power bank that can run off-grid, even without solar, for several days. From this end of the booth, the power runs on wires behind the wall to the other end of the booth, which houses the rest of our power components. In there we have our AC and DC distribution panel, as well as our inverter charger. Originally we had just put in a 3000 watt pure sine wave inverter since we don't use shore power often, but we have since upgraded that to an inverter charger, so if we do need to plug in on occasion, we have the option.
In the back of the bus is our bed. Right above the bed we have a really large storage cabinet, and it's great to have additional storage above the bed. Underneath the cabinet is our custom headboard. We have created custom headboards for all of our different builds that we've done, but I think that this one is still one of my favorites. It just brings a lot of character to the bed area and kind of gives it a little bit more personality. Right next to the bed we have a cubby. We also have the light switch that controls just the lights in the bed area, so you can turn those on and off independent of the main puck lights. We also have a 110 and 12 volt outlet. And next to that is the thermostat for our heated floors. This is kind of a hidden feature because you can't really see it, but it makes a huge difference on those really cold days. And right back here, we have our magnetic projector. Right underneath this cabinet is where the projector lives most of the time, but this is actually a part of our magnetic invisible projector screen and mounting system. What this means is that we embedded magnets into some of the cabinets and the ceiling so that we could mount our projector screen and projector invisibly in 3 different places throughout the bus. We didn't want to screw hooks into our beautiful cabinets and ceiling, so we came up with this method to be able to mount these all throughout the bus so you can kind of choose your different viewing mode. We have one spot for the bed area where the projector goes under the cabinet and the screen mounts at the end of the bed. We also have one right in front of the couch, so the screen hangs in front of the kitchen and the projector mounts above the couch. And the final place is what we call movie theater mode, and that is right down the hallway of the bus. The screen mounts into the doorway, the projector mounts back here by the bed, and you can have a full movie theater experience, which is pretty crazy in such a small space. We love having the projector and screen so much more than a traditional bulky TV because these things fit in the bus a lot better. We can get a bigger viewing screen out of smaller components. By far, this magnetic projector and screen mounting system is what we get asked about the most in this bus. We did create a downloadable plan that gives you all of the materials and step-by-step instructions of what we used so that you can build it into your own bus, because it is just one of the coolest features that we have in our home. Right at the end of the bed, we have our projector screen, and we also have our large closet storage space. We did sliding bypass doors on the closet because we didn't want to create doors that opened outward into our space. While we don't regret doing the bypass doors, they can be a little bit tricky if you have a lot of clothes in the closet at one time. The clothes will push out against the doors, and then they can be a little bit difficult to slide past each other. But one positive of this is that the doors do not move around while we're driving. We don't have a dowel in here or anything keeping them closed. They pretty much keep themselves closed just because of the amount of clothing that we have in the closet. So to open them, we really just have to push on the back one and slide the front one across it. One of the things that we added after we built this closet was lights. This is actually huge. It seems like a really small thing, but a lot of our storage spaces in this bus are pretty dark, and adding a light just makes a world of difference. So top to bottom, we have our clothing storage, and right here we have my vanity drawer. This is one of the most functional spaces in the whole bus. I use this every day to get ready because of the lights in the windows. It's a very bright space. It's right next to the sink. I can sit on the edge of the bed. It's actually the only mirror that we have in the bus, and this could have just been a drawer. But by putting a mirror on the lid, it makes the space so much more useful. Underneath the drawer, we have more storage. We have clothes in packing cubes. And then actually underneath this is another door that opens upward, and we have the height of the mattress underneath the closet for additional clothing storage. So while this closet may look kind of shallow, it actually holds so many items. It's just about organizing your storage efficiently.
Underneath the bed is the largest storage compartment in the whole bus. It houses our fresh water system, which includes a 75-gallon fresh water tank, water pump, accumulator, as well as a 4-gallon electric water heater. And a lot of our bigger items are outdoor things: disc golf basket, our inflatable paddleboard, foldable kayak, all of that sort of stuff, backpacking gear. It's all under here. It's a really large space and nice to have. Of course, we have this on gas struts, so when you lift it up, it doesn't fall right back on your face. As you can see, this is a really large storage space, but it's very dark, so one of the upgrades we did is add a light. We took that from our second bus build. This makes it way easier to see under there, so you're not shuffling around with a flashlight. Another upgrade that we find underneath the bed is the conversion of the 120 volt AC water heater to a 12 volt DC heating element. It takes longer to heat the water, but it is much easier on your batteries. You're not pulling so much power at once. We really prefer this method as well. If your batteries are topped off at 100% charge, but you're still taking solar energy in, you can dump that extra energy into the hot water and store it that way.
The last section of our bus to talk about is the kitchen. This is definitely one of the most loved areas in our whole home. We love to cook, and over the 3 years that we've been in this bus, we have made a lot of meals in this kitchen. It is definitely set up for cooking, and we prioritize that because of how much we love to make meals together. The first thing you'll probably notice in the kitchen is the butcher block countertop. This is 1.5 inch thick butcher block, and it's sealed with water locks. The water locks has been very durable, and we've really loved having it to protect the butcher block. The only place that needed to be resealed was right next to our faucet, where we had a soap dish sitting for probably the first year that we had the bus. Water would just continually collect underneath this soap dish, and it did damage the butcher block just a little bit. So about 6 months ago, I sanded down this area and I resealed around the faucet. That was really the only spot that needed any attention, and overall, with the amount of wear and tear that we put on this butcher block, it's held up phenomenally. We really love the water locks. Behind the faucets, we have an inset planter garden. We don't actually plant things into this area, but we leave the plants in their pots and set them down into this little window garden. By far one of our favorite areas of the kitchen. It's just so nice to have living plants behind your kitchen, and every day the light filters through all the leaves. It's just a beautiful area. We love it so much we will probably have a little window garden in every future build that we do. Right here we have our main faucet, and this comes out to swivel around. We also have our secondary faucet. This little silver one is for the APEC 3-stage water filter, and this is how we filter our drinking water out of our main 75-gallon freshwater tank. Underneath this cover is the sink. We went with a porcelain apron front sink, and it's held up perfectly over time. We've had no issues with it whatsoever. Underneath the sink, we have our 6-gallon gray water tank. The sink is the only thing that feeds into this little tank, and it's handheld so that we can take it outside and dump it daily. We use biodegradable soaps, and we're often out on BLM land, public lands, so it's really easy to just dump it once a day, and then we don't have to keep going to dump stations. We also have our garbage and some cleaning supplies underneath here. Right here we have our pull-out pantry. This is one of the best ways to store canned goods in a build like this. It's easy to see everything that you have. We have our spices and our canned goods on the bottom. You can store so many more things when you stack them vertically into this type of drawer. This is definitely one of the most efficient storage spaces in the whole bus. Coming back this way, we have our pull-out cutting board. We use this every single day. It's way easier to be able to pull your cutting board out from underneath the counter rather than having a cutting board that you have to store away somewhere in the kitchen. We love having this, and we'll definitely have one of these in every future build. Underneath the cutting board, we have a stack of drawers. This is just our silverware and more kitchen items. But at the bottom of this stack, we have the best drawer in the whole bus. and that is Mateo's food and water dish. Now this drawer was designed when we only had one dog, and now we have Pablo as well. So we will probably be redesigning this drawer to include 2 food dishes with 1 larger water dish. Having a drawer like this, make sure that you don't forget to put these items away, go to drive, and then everything is spilled throughout the bus. It's all just contained into this drawer, and you can push it away when you're ready to drive or you're not using it. Right here we have our stovetop and oven. This runs on propane, and having an oven has been a huge game changer for us. Our first van was an 87 Coachman, and it did not have an oven, and it only had a 2-burner stove. So expanding to the oven and 3 burners has been huge for us. Underneath all of that is our biggest kitchen storage area for all our pots and pans, our Instant Pot. Behind the stove is our inset knife block, and we love having this. It is very popular. We get questions about it all the time. It's just little slats cut into a piece of our butcher block, and it stores the knives really well. They're very accessible. Next to the knife block, we have our under counter storage. This is where we keep onions and sometimes garlic. This was just a blank space underneath our countertops, so you might as well make use of it. Above the kitchen, we have a ton of overhead storage. This is where we keep our dishes and other dry goods. It is huge to have all of this storage in the kitchen. Underneath the cabinet, we also have the strip lights. We have these underneath all of our cabinets, and it adds so much light to the space. In addition to the strip lights, we also have 8 puck lights inset into the ceiling, and we have 2 vent fans. This adds a lot of ventilation to the space because you can choose to push the air in or out, and you can set each vent fan opposite so that it really circulates the air. The final part of our kitchen is what we call the MVP of our build. This is our refrigerator, but it's actually a freezer converted into a refrigerator using an Inkbird temperature control system. This is very easy to do, and it gets you a much larger refrigerator for a lot less money. This was also designed to be a freezer, so it's way better insulated than a traditional RV refrigerator. It's also top opening, so you don't lose all of your cold air every time you open the door. The only downside to this refrigerator is that everything is stacked bottom to top. So sometimes you do have to do some digging for the items in your refrigerator, but we think it is 100% worth it to have this amount of cold food storage in a build of this size. We have not had any problems with this refrigerator. We really love this setup. The whole refrigerator is set onto really heavy-duty 500-pound drawer slides. We did end up upgrading these drawer slides from our original installation, and we upgraded to really heavy-duty 500-pound drawer slides. The first slides that we installed, we did have a lot of sagging with the refrigerator, and the drawer face would scrape onto our floor. But since we upgraded to the really heavy-duty ones, we've had no issues at all. So we recommend going with really, really big slides for a refrigerator like this, because when it's full, it can get very heavy. In the corner of our kitchen, we have our small countertop compost bin. About a year ago, we started separating our wet trash from the dry plastics and cardboards. That's made a huge difference for being off-grid for longer periods of time. We can put all our fruit, vegetable, organic scraps in here, and it keeps it separated so that when we put it in our outdoor garbage bag, it's not attracting animals or starting to smell. We can generally be off-grid in this bus for about 2 weeks. That's how much fresh water we have available with 75 gallons. 2 weeks of garbage can really pile up, so separating the two has been huge for us. We also have 3 shelves here for more storage, and every build has to have a fruit hammock.
At the very front of the bus in the entryway, we have a hook to hold coats and bags. We also have our overcab storage compartment for a lot of miscellaneous things. In here was our air conditioner. It's recently stopped functioning. I think all the really bumpy dirt roads have damaged the compressor. So if I was to replace this in the future, I'll probably do some sort of stabilizer on the compressor or switch to a complete DC unit. Here we have our curtain, which separates the cab of the vehicle from the rest of the bus. It's nice for privacy, and it makes the house feel a lot more enclosed and homey. In our entry, we have the bus doors, which were original to the vehicle. We wired into the motorized system, so we have a 3-way switch here, which allows us to open and close, as well as the more important key fob, so if you're outside of the bus, you can open or close it. Most of the time when we're at a nice camp spot that we'll be staying for a while, we just disengage this so we can open and close the door by pushing it. We have dual deadbolts as well as a large cane bolt for extra security to lock the bus. Before we wrap up this tour, the biggest upgrade since the original tour is we now have Pablo in addition to Mateo.
That's the biggest upgrade for sure. Dual doggies.
I mean, he's a small upgrade, but he is an upgrade.
We can't even believe that it has been 3 whole years with this bus, but it has treated us so well and we absolutely love our home. This was our first build, so we learned a lot doing this build and in the 2 additional builds that we did afterwards.
I think the biggest takeaway from this updated tour is we see a lot of things held up well, but some things did need to be fixed or upgraded. That's kind of always going to be the case when you're building a house inside of a vehicle. And while things have worked out well, I always like to express to people that haven't done this before, it's going to be a process. You're going to learn things and you're going to learn how to fix things. And it can always be fixed.
There's so much to learn while converting a vehicle into a full-time home, and still, even after 3 years, we are so in love with our bus. This is such a wonderful space to be in, and we want to thank all of you guys for being here with us on the channel, and thanks for watching our 3-year update tour. Can't even believe that it's been 3 years already.
All right, guys, we will see you later.
Would always shine when we sat there, you and I. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're. The river's gonna cry when you're. River's gonna cry when you're gone. It's gonna cry, it's gonna cry. River's gonna cry when you're gone. It's gonna cry, it's gonna cry. Hey, I heard you want to leave this this place where we grew up, this old town, just leave it all behind. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.